as I was praying over him before we started and even processing what I know about him, little amount, even though it feels like a lot with his content, I am like, want to excavate your relationship with the Lord and how that has been a part of your call and where it started.
Absolutely. So I didn't grow up with any faith at all. I guess I got partially saved, pretend saved, because I had a crush on a girl in high school. You know, one of those things. So that didn't count. But I got brought to faith through business. I was 19 years old. I got involved in my first network marketing venture. I got involved because I didn't like who I was. I always wanted to change. I grew up a very shy, introverted. Like if you look up Urban Dictionary Asian, that was James Zheng. Like no joke at all.
I don't believe that.
Seriously, it was bad. I was so shy I couldn't even order food at a restaurant. Type of shy, Tamra. So I didn't like who I was. I was going to UC Berkeley. Guess what I was trying to be? A doctor, obviously.
I love when, how come white people don't joke themselves? They should. It'd be really fun.
Stereotypes, you know, I don't like putting labels, but they're kind of funny because they're kind of true many times.
It's hilarious.
That one was pretty true, right? So I wandered into business because not because I wanted to make money or anything. I just didn't like who I was, Tamra. And I said, hey, I can grow. And as you know, in personal growth and business, it's all tied together. Business is a compensation plan wrapped around personal growth. So got involved there. And you start to listen to the Jim Rohns, the John C. Maxwell's, and you start the Les Browns, and they drip little biblical stories here and there. So it's kind of always off to the side. I'm like, oh, that's cool for them type of thing. My mentors are Christian as well too. And what happened was I hit my business goal, which was make enough where I didn't have to work a full-time job. So Guess what? I did that. And this is the weirdest thing. I remember when I hit that goal, all of a sudden I had like 9 to 5 open again. And I fell into a week of depression, Tamra. It felt like I just went through a heartbreak. I was literally at home eating a tub of ice cream, no joke, saying, what's the purpose of life? Wow. Because why am I doing all this for, right? So for the listener, you see this a lot, especially in a personal achievement-driven society. You see the Michael Phelps that you know, wins the Olympics and retires and becomes suicidal, who found God. Yeah. Same thing too. And that's what happened with me. So that eventually led me to understanding the truth was in the Lord. And I gave my life to Christ that way.
Wow. Everything. So the exposure through business and you being in this kind of rock bottom of like, is this it? You had achieved something that you had set out to achieve. You got there. It was void. Totally understand. But what was like, did something prompt in your spirit? Did you have an encounter with God? Did you remember that cute girl? And you're like, maybe I should listen to what she was talking about that day. I'm like, I gotta know.
Yeah. It's when self-help does not help anymore.
Yeah. Come on.
There's a limit right there. Right. Yeah. So I said, this doesn't make sense. And I got to go into the spiritual side of things. It was a door I never wanted to open. So the question I asked was what is truth? Like I was so discombobulated because I'm like, do you make your own truth? Like, what's the point of this? And if you do, then how does this all work? So is there truth with a capital T? And that's what got me to look into and I'm very like scientific because I'm Asian. Yeah. So that's so I need proof, right? I need to know what's going on. And the biggest thing, and you already know this, but the biggest difference of Christianity and following Jesus is it's different from everywhere else because every other faith is a prophet or an enlightened person, but it's only in Jesus himself. And yeah, it's ironic that this is Holy Week right now. Yes. Jesus himself is the only one that said that he is God. And he says that he is the way, the truth, and the life. And as Frank Turek said, I didn't have enough faith to be an atheist, and it just made sense. I'm like, all right, let's just try this thing out.
So good. It's wild that we're having this conversation because I just last week with my kiddos watched God's Not Dead. Have you seen that?
I haven't watched it yet, actually. No.
You should watch it. You should watch it. So we were having a conversation, and essentially the professor is very much an atheist, and he makes kids on the first day of school because he wants to teach science to write down God is dead on a piece of paper. Wow. And everyone in the class wrote it down and passed the paper in. They had to sign it. And it was basically just like, you're going to stay in this course, you're going to stay in this seat. And the only way that you can do that is if you sign this piece of paper stating this. Well, this one particular kid who's just, you know, maybe 19 years old is like, I'm not going to turn that in. I don't believe that. And he said, why not? This is my classroom. These are my rules. He said, well, I don't believe in that. And so he said, great. So for the next 3 sessions, you're going to come and you're going to debate me, and we're going to basically treat this like a court of law, and we're going to allow them, the students, to be the jury on who's right. And he did it. And so my 9 and 8-year-old are watching this, and the main thing that piqued their interest, interestingly enough, maybe because they've always been in a Christian-based home, was the science connected to why it was true. And that science proves Jesus.
Yes.
Right. And we're here to talk about like business and ministry and how all that is aligned. But I think this is why marketplace ministry is such a beautiful thing, because most people are coming in with the lens of, how do I scale? How do I make more money? How do they do very scientific, follow the principles, follow the practice, and then you'll have success. Yeah. And I love how you have a very similar call on kingdom entrepreneurship. And I want to know, based on having that experience, was it an immediate trigger of like, I'm doing this wrong, I need to catapult into this, like shift into kingdom business? Or how did that evolution exist?
It was definitely an evolution. I think for faith is an evolution, right? So at first it was just like, oh, okay, I get there's a greater purpose to things now. So that was the first time. And you start to see that, you know, the best personal growth book in the world, there's the Think and Grow Riches, there's the other cool things, right? Yeah. But the best business book in the world is still found in the Bible itself.
Yes, come on.
So it's all throughout. So you start to look at it as a practical lens. You're like, this actually works. It's not just like spiritual, it works. But what happened was this, is I was in a season of our life. I got brought to faith through a Saddleback church, and Pastor Rick Warren was the senior pastor at the time. His was predominant in Orange County, and I was in the Bay Area. So we're like, hey, it'd be nice to have like a local campus. We started doing these get-togethers. Now, my skill set, and I think every single one of us, in our business setting, you have skills, you have gifts, you have talents, you have things that God has ordained for you in the body of Christ to be really, really good at. Like Tamra, you are just an energizer bunny. You're a space creator, right? You're an innovator. You're an influencer like that, an instigator. But for me, one of the skills was building groups together and just getting them. So instead of building an organization for business, I did gatherings. So we did these virtual services before that was a thing. We had 100 people plus a month just gathering and watching a worship service. One day I get an email. I've never met Pastor Rick in person, but from him. And it was one of those things where, you know, I'm a little shocked. I'm like, this really? It's like, oh, okay.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, he invites me to his office and had a great conversation. Now, that church plant never went forward, but I was dropped one seed that has stayed with me to this day. And he said, James, did you know, both him and Billy Graham prophesied this, that the greatest ministry in the world of today's generation would not be in the church or the pulpits or anything. It would be in the marketplace. And I said, what does that mean? And what does that look like? And that seed continued to expand to where we are today.